Tommy woke up on a Monday morning feeling both excited and anxious to begin the day. He had hoped to be sorted into Gryffindor, to be closer to Hermione who he met on the train. But he remembered what Hermione said. The hat even takes potential into account, wondering if the hat saw something in him that suited Ravenclaw. For he didn't really see himself as small, at least not yet. Tom put on his Ravenclaw robes, black and blue with hints of silver. The tie was the hardest part as he didn't really know how to tie ties. Eventually he came downstairs and looked towards the class schedule that an older student pointed him to. The morning class was Transfiguration with a Professor McGonagall, and then Charm class with a Professor of Flickwit. They may well be speaking another language at this point, for he didn't know any of that. Maybe Hermione could tell when he saw her. When he left the safety of Ravenclaw Tower, he came up to the stairs. The older boy who escorted him and the other Ravenclaw first years to the tower said they liked the trains, and he already had hang-ups with garden stairs to begin with. He could go up easy, but going down, that took effort. Okay, relax, take it one step at a time. Tom placed a deft grip on the railing as he descended the staircase with one foot down, one step at a time. Other students passed him as they went down effortlessly. It made Tom grumble. As he was halfway down the staircase, they suddenly shorted. He gripped the railing with both hands as the staircase switched towards one corridor to another, and now he was stranded and terrified. Help! He cried, not knowing what to do. Penelope Clearwater had been halfway down the staircase herself, a stack of parchment tucked under one arm, when the sudden shock nearly sent her pissing forward. She caught herself easily, clearly used to Hogwarts moving oxytester, but the sharp cry of help made her snap her head around. Her sharp, observant eyes immediately found the source. A first-year Ravenclaw halfway stranded as the staircase had rotated away from its original landing, white knuckle frozen. Oh, hey, don't panic, Penelope called out quickly, her tone calm but firm, the kind that cut through fear rather than fed it. She stepped close to the edge of the stair, careful not to wuss him. You're not going to fall. The stair do this all the time, she assured him. They just enjoy the drama. She shifted her books to the floor and raised her voice just enough to be heard clearly over the echoing corridor. Hold on to the railing. Good, just like that. They'll move again in a moment. Sometimes you just have to wait them out. Penelope offered a small, encouraging smile. First week? She asked, already knowing the answer. He heard the woman speak to him, but he was too afraid to open his eyes. Wait them out? Great. What if they didn't strain back? What if he was stranded here forever, unable to move? Just as though thoughts entered his brain, the staircase moved again, just like before. And just like before, he grabbed onto the railing, only opening his eyes when they were done. When she asked if it was his first week, he merely nodded as he came down the stairs. I've decided I don't like stairs, as if he didn't already. Penelope let out a quiet laugh, more warm than amused, as the staircase finally settled into place and the boy made it the rest of the way down. She waited until both of his feet were firmly on solid ground before speaking again. That's a very sensible conclusion, she said, picking her parchment back up and tugging them neatly under her arm. Most of us come to that realization eventually. Hogwarts stairs are temperamental. She studied him for a moment, noting the blue and silver tie that looked like it had been wrestled into submission rather than tied properly. You handle that better than you think, Penelope added, a little more seriously. Panicking makes them worse. Waiting them out is usually the safest option. She accepted her robes and offered her hand in a polite, prefect-like gesture. Penelope Clearwater, Ravenclaw Prefect, she said. And yes, Folk Week is always the worst. It gets easier. The cats will stop trying to kill you after a while. A brief pause, then a faint smile turned the corner of her mouth. Transfiguration first? Tom let out a small smile. She didn't know it, but her words were a confidence booster. When she extended her hand, he accepted it in a handshake. Tom Jobe. Then he also growled. Prefect? He had no idea what a prefect was. Yeah, Transfiguration, but I think breakfast is first. At least I hope so. I'm hungry. Penelope returned the handshake with an easy confidence, giving his hand a brief, reassuring squeeze before letting go. Nice to meet you, Tom, she said. And yes, prefect. At his raised eyebrow, she smiled, clearly used to explaining this to first years. The ship means I help keep things running smoothly, Penelope explained. Point people in the right direction. Make sure no one gets lost, break curfew, or try anything too for this. I don't bite much. At the mention of breakfast, she let out a soft huff of agreement. "Oh, breakfast absolutely comes first," she said firmly. "No one is best first year to survive Transfiguration on an empty stomach. That would be cruel, even by Hogwarts standards." She shut down the corridor with her free hand. "Come on, the Great Hall is this way. If you're quick, the good pastries won't all be gone yet." Then they started walking, she added casually. "And don't worry, Professor McGonagall is intimidating, but she was best effort. You're in the White House if you're asking questions instead of pretending you know everything." Tom couldn't help but smile again at being told he was in the White House. "Thanks. I honestly didn't know what I was going to get. I was hoping Griffin, though. Not because I think it's better. My friend Hermione was sorted to that house. Have you met her? She was the one with the long, bushy brown hair with the sword. If he was able to spot her in the Great Hall, he would give her a wave. He was curious to learn how Gryffindor was different to Ravenclaw, if they were able to talk sometime today. When Penelope Chester told the Great Hall, Tom quickened the pace and entered the room he remembered from last night. This much he knew since he was already there. He looked around for Hermione, but hadn't seen her at the Gryffindor table. But it was hard to make out who all was sitting over there. There were a lot of people at various ages. It was hard to spot just one person. Tom sat down on the first empty seat he could find and started eating the meal that had just magically appeared on the table. He then looked towards Penelope. "So, what makes the food here?" Penelope followed him into the great hall, slowing her pace a little as he scanned the Gryffindor table. She didn't arrest him. First mornings had a way of making everything feel louder and bigger than it really was. "Hermione Granger?" she said after a moment, recognition lightened her expression. "Yes, I noticed her. Hard not to. She already knew half the answer before the sword half finished his song." There was no jealousy in her tone, more thoughtful respect. "Should do very well in Gryffindor," Penelope added. "They value nerve and initiative. She has plenty of both." She took a seat across from him at the Ravenclaw table, smoothing her robes as the plates filled themselves. At his question she smiled, this time more amused. "The House Elves," she replied matter-of-factly. "They live in the kitchen below us, hundreds of them. They cook, clean, and keep the castle running." At the inevitable wide-eyed reaction she'd come to expect, she added, "You've never seen them unless you're looking for them. They like it that way. Just know that if the food's good, which it usually is, it's going to take a lot of pride in it." She stretched to his plate with a fork. "Eat up. You need the energy. Transfiguration is not kind to the underfooted or the unprepared." "House elves?" Tom immediately imagined beautiful elves with long flowing blonde hair and pointy ears, like the ones from the fantasy books he read back home. Now he wanted to meet one. When she brought up Transfiguration again, he became curious. "What exactly is Transfiguration?" Penelope paused mid-bite at his first question, then gave a small, almost sympathetic smile. "Not quite like the storybook," she said gently. "They are smaller, big eyes, very powerful magic, though, and very serious about their work." She hesitated just a fraction of a second before adding more carefully. "Though she did well here. Dumbledore made sure of that." At his next question, her expression shifted, brighter now, a little more animated. This was clearly more her territory. "Transfiguration is a branch of magic that deals with changing the form or nature of something," Penelope explained, "turning one object into another, a matchstick into a needle, for example." She looked at her folks slightly, using it as a visual aid. "It's precise magic, very exacting. You can't be sloppy or distracted because if you are," she trailed off, then finished with a small, knowing smile, "you get half transfigured with soaps, which Professor McGonagall does not tolerate." Penelope leaned back just a bit. "It's difficult, but fascinating. It teaches control more than anything else. You don't have to be fast, just careful." Then after a beat, she added, "And if it helps, nearly everyone struggles at first, even Ravenclaws." Tom's brown eyes grew even bigger at the description. Now he definitely wanted to meet one. "Could I meet one, you think?" When she started talking about the subject, his brown eyes grew even bigger. The subject itself sounded amazing. Tracing shapes and objects, but the teacher sounded scary. Tom didn't like to say it out loud, but things intimidated him easily, and it sounded like this woman would put the fear of Mullen into him. Professor McGonagall sounds scary. Penelope chuckled softly, shaking her head. Her voice was gentle, but carried that usual prefect confidence. "You're not Wand," she admitted, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Professor McGonagall does have a reputation. Sharp eyes, sharp words, and he doesn't suffer fools lightly. But she's fair. You do what she asks, follow instructions, and she'll respect you." She leaned a little closer, as if sharing a secret. "Honestly, she's scared because she cares. She wants everyone to do well, even if it doesn't feel like it at first." Then with a flick of her wrist toward the Ravenclaw side of the hall, she added, As for the House Elves, you might get a chance to see one if you're in the right place at the right time, but don't be disappointed if they stay hidden. They have their ways and they like it that way. Mask it or not, they do as they please. She tilted her head, studying him with a little warmth. Trust me, the first week's the hardest. After that, it's mostly fun. If you survive the moving staircases and the professor's glaives, Tom let in a hard gulp. The dog climbing those stairs again felt scarier than the professor's glaives. All the other teachers feel scary? He never had a teacher that wasn't his mother, so he had no idea how he was going to interact with them, especially magic teachers. I wish the Ravenclaw Tower wasn't so high up. Those stairs feel endless even when they don't move on you. The tower is amazing though, and I like the color blue. Penelope smiled a little amused at his mixture of awe and dread. Well, she began, choosing her words carefully. Some of them can be intimidating at first. McGonagall, Snape, or even Quirrell. You might think they're scary the moment you meet them, but it's different from being mean. Most of them actually want to help you learn, even if their style is direct. She glanced toward the Ravenclaw table, then back at him. As for the tower, yeah, the stairs can feel endless, especially if you're coming down them for the first time. But you get used to it. The view from the top is worth it, and the colors do help. Blue and silver everywhere, right? It's kind of common once you stop worrying about falling off every step. She tilted her head with a small, snowing smile. Trust me, Tom, the tower is high up, and the stairs are tricky. But if you survive the first week, you'll feel like you belong up there. Tom had no idea who Snape or Quirrell were, but he trusted he would learn in time. The Sword Hat had placed him in Ravenclaw, so he knew at least someone at Hogwarts felt he could handle the subject that came his way. He just smiled at Penelope, glad to make a new friend. He then went back to his food. He would eat up all he could, and then class began.